Hi folks, I'm Voba. I'm a singer and a vocal trainer, and this is my channel about anatomical vocal training. Today I would like to show you the first initial start of how to train to stretch your voice over 4 octaves of legitimate vocal pull. Now, I said we need to get rid of the crotches. We got rid of the first crotch already, not blasting air pressure through your windpipe in order to make the vocal cords vibrate faster. That was the first crotch. The second crotch is to not clip off parts of your vocal cords so that only parts of them vibrate. The background again is the shorter your vocal cords, the higher the pitch. Meaning birds. Birds, for instance, have a higher pitched voice than an elephant or a rhinoceros. Simply because the rhinoceros or elephant have longer vocal cords and the birds have shorter vocal cords. So the longer your vocal cords naturally are, the deeper they vibrate. Now, that's why people clip off parts of their vocal cords, because to make matter vibrate faster that is less mass is easier. So they kind of like cheat and clip off parts of their vocal cords. We don't want that because it doesn't allow you a lot of dynamics, going really loud and going really quiet, not really possible with that. And also it is very likely to give you problems if you do it a long time over an extended period of time. Now, in order for your vocal cords not to clip off the second crotch, right? Not to clip off, but to use the full vocal length and then just stretch the vocal cords, it's very helpful to start with a yawn, because what you want to do is you want to pull the vocal cords so far apart that they cannot actually clip off, right? If they're pulled apart, then it's very difficult for them to clip off at any point, because they're just too far apart in order to do that. That's why we do that with a yawn. So basically you start with a yawn because a yawn widens the throat, it pulls the thyroid cartilage down, and it makes just everything wide. You know, it pulls the vocal cords slightly apart. So I'll go with the fifth. You just start on the upper note and you slide down to the other note, and it's supposed to be just a yawn, you know, as yawny as you can make it. If it's the real thing, the real yawn happens, perfect. If it's not, then the fake yawn and the real yawn, they should be as close as possible. Meaning, if I fake yawn like this, the feeling is not different to when now my body takes over and it becomes a real yawn. But the feeling for me isn't really different. It's the same feeling basically. So I practiced my fake yawn until it felt like a real yawn and it had the same effect on my voice. And with that, you just basically go up. Higher, higher, higher. You see how my voice kind of like stays the same, it stays as yawny as before. Now, you see how it's still the same, it's still as broad as down there. It's not out of a sudden I go, it's still a, and now I'm trying to make it very quiet, because if I go, it might be a bit too much for the microphone. But the point is, it stays as wide as down there, right? I don't go tight the higher I go. Where was it? And also, a thing to consider is that my thyroid cartilage goes down when I do it. right? It doesn't stay up, it doesn't go further up, it goes down. And that downward movement really helps the thyroid cartilage to also stay wide. Because it's supposed to be wide because the vocal cords are situated inside the thyroid cartilage, right? If the thyroid cartilage pulls wide, then the vocal cords are pulled wide by default because they're attached to the thyroid cartilage. And so that is a really good exercise. And if you work with somebody and they know how to open your voice like this, without pressure, I'm not doing right? I'm doing I don't have extra air pressure, even though the sound is breathy, and it's going to be more and more breathy the higher I go. I will explain why in a later video, because that's too much information for one video. So if you work with somebody who knows how to pull your thyroid wide and how to pull thereby your vocal cords apart, then over a few months your voice is really going to grow, and you will really open up new notes that you have, because you cannot use the crotch anymore, the second crotch of clipping off the vocal cords. And therefore a breathy but unpushed sound difference between and very important. The second one is not pushed, the first one was pushed, right? Pushed. Just breathy, just wide. And you also, maybe you can hear it, how the room starts to resonate when I do that sound, because it's just so wide, your entire throat is so wide inside that you have resonance within the room that you are in. The more space here, the more the space of the room will interact with your voice. And that's a good sign that you're not clipping off anything, because if you clip off your vocal cords, the room around you won't interact with you. It will just be your little tiny voice, and that's it. Yes, and this is really good to stretch the vocal cords, to train the muscle, the Crico-Thyroid muscle, as I explained in my previous video, that stretches the vocal cords long. That is a very important muscle to give you the range, and this is how you do it. Right? And then from there it's like a flat. There my voice will start to get thinner and thinner and thinner, because my vocal cords won't even touch anymore. Simply because when the vocal cords are stretched, they're going thinner, right? Any material, like if you take a bubble gum and you stretch it, it goes thinner to the middle, right? So the vocal cords, same thing. Any material that you stretch, it goes thinner. So when you stretch them, at a certain point they go so thin that they don't even touch at all anymore. So that's why when you go up with that, you will just lose the sound. Optimally, your vocal cords will still pull on the right range, but you won't really hear a clear sound anymore, because they're just pulled apart already from the wideness in the throat, and then they're not thick enough to meet anymore. More on that also on a later video. The thing that I want you to take from this is the yawning sound. You can have it all over your voice. You can have it from down to the furthest up to the furthest down again. This breathy, wide yawning sound. And it doesn't have to be breathy all the time. We will also do it without breath. But for beginning, it's really good to have it breathy, because closing the vocal cords and keeping it wide, it's like advanced. It's an advanced thing to do. So first of all, you can keep it breathy. I hope that gave you something. If you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. If you like the content, like the video, and I will see you when I see you.